Hey everybody, my name is Dwayne and I'm going to be building a laundry shed. I'm outside here at my welding station because I got to cut some steel for some anchors. Here we go. Alright, first step, I have this angle iron. This is 1.5 by 1.5 1/8" thick, and I'm going to cut it to size because I'm going to be using these for my anchor plates or base plates, whatever you want to call them, for the shed. So yeah, I just need to cut these right here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some pieces of rebar, 1/2" rebar, about 14" and then I'm going to bend them to make some anchors, some L's, and then I'm going to weld those to these on the bottom, so I'll be able to put these into concrete. And here's my cat. I go over to my metal bender, and this is just something I mounted to the ground here. And what I do is I'll take this rebar that I just cut, I just make some anchors with it like this. See, we back it up. So that's what I'm doing here. Weld that rebar to the angle iron. I use E71 T11 wire at 0.035. It's a little bit of a better wire than the normal GS that you get for flux core, and this flux core, of course. So you can multi-pass with it, and it goes through a little more rigorous of a process to be approved for specific multi-pass purposes. So anyways, I just use a better wire. So I'll be welding these down here to these. I got 6 total anchors, 12 pieces of rebar, so that's what I do next. All right, so what I've done here is I've applied this zinc coating here. This is basically like galvanized coating. It's a galvanized paint. I'm not a big fan of this particular brand. I had another brand that was better, but I just don't like how this stuff applies. The other stuff I had was a lot smoother, but either way, put this on here, the steel. You can see here we got the anchors welded up and everything, so we're all ready to go. And then later on I'll pour the concrete, and then these will set in the concrete. All right, so I skipped this step, but this one here, what I did was I just ripped about 24 2x4s. By ripped, I mean I cut them in half. So that's what we have right here. They are coated with a white elastomeric coating on some parts. I'm going to finish coating them all the way. It just helps them last longer, since, you know, 2x4s are exposed out here sometimes on my homestead. I'm going to try building this shed with these because I haven't built a shed with like this thin a material here, but I honestly think it'll be fine just because of the size of the shed itself. It's not a huge shed, and I'm going to be putting metal siding on it, so we'll see. I mean, you know, worst case, I'll just have to put more supports on it, and I do have like normal 2x4s over there too for that. So I'll just play it as I go here and see how that works. Here, I'm going to be filling these buckets with concrete. Now, if you've been following my videos, you know that I mix concrete out here. So this is not going to be that big of a deal for me. This is a light day. So, unfortunately. So anyways, these are the finished product of the anchors. Custom make my own. Now this is the piece right here. Is what it'll look like when it's finished. I just put this one here was just leftovers from pouring this wall, and the bucket, you know, that I use just 5-gallon bucket for this. It you know, kind of made me think about it for a second. I say, wait a minute, you know, when you get these shed blocks, which I used before, but they're basically just these square blocks that you know that you slit wood in, and then you can make like a base for your shed, and it gets it off the ground and it gives it something to sit on. So that's cool, right? But what I was thinking was, not only do I want that, but I would also want it to be anchored to these, because the shed weight itself, it's going to be kind of light because it's made out of metal siding, and I'm not using like OSB and things like that, and we get heavy winds out here. So the shed itself is going to be fairly light. So I want it to be anchored to at least some concrete here. So the idea with these is that these pieces of angle iron are going to be here. They'll be in, and then I will actually be able to screw the base of the shed into these. And it'll all make sense when I'm done. But I'll have a total of 6 of these. The shed's sitting on a platform. I'll show you that as well. But anyways, I'm going to get back to mixing concrete. So tips with mixing concrete. I always do the water first, and then I add the concrete. I add the cement. First the water, then the cement, then the aggregate. Or if you're just doing bags and you put the bag in after the water. The trick is getting the water level right. All right, so there that is. There's 6 of them total. Got a little extra concrete here, so I'm probably just gonna make another bucket full. This bucket system works good. As you can see though, I had to use the big vibrator, and it does a good job of making these things smooth. So you'll see hopefully the end result here when I dump these out. Now I'll leave these in here for a couple days and just let them cure. And then I'll tip them over and dump them out, and then hopefully they'll be cured enough to where they're dry enough, hard enough, and probably got to let them sit for about a week, honestly. But in the meantime, I'll be able to work on the structure. So that's the process. I used about 1 bag of 94-pound Portland cement. Not actually, say about, I don't know, 7/8, I guess. And also, my suggestion would be, you do not need to do this big of blocks for your shed. However, if you do want to anchor it down, I recommend doing something at least this size, because what this is going to allow me to do, or should say not do, is I won't have to dig very much. That's what I'm looking for, because I want to raise this shed off the ground, you know, a good 12 inches at least. So, and then what I'll do is, once these blocks are in, because they'll put these blocks partially in the ground, level them, and then the platform will sit on top, and it'll screw into these pieces of angle iron, and so it'll be anchored in. And then all I'll do is I'll just bring my tractor over and then just backfill it around these and kind of make a nice border, and then we'll decide like how I want to actually do the bottom skirting of the shed. But anyways, so the idea for me was just to kind of get away from having to dig so damn much, because I'm just getting tired of digging out here, because I dig all the time, and I just felt like, hey, you know what, I'll just try this method here a little bit different on this shed, since it's a real small shed anyways, and if it works, then I'll probably do it for other buildings too. So that's that. All right, so these are the platforms right here. This is the back side of them. I had picked these up at a place, I don't remember where I used to get pallets from. Paid like 10 bucks each for them, but I've had them sitting here for so long that I was a little worried they were going to have termites and stuff like that. But they seem okay. They're a little dry rotted though. So I put this asphalt emulsion on the bottom, and I really like this stuff. I use it all the time out here, especially when I'm burying wood in the ground or it's going to be exposed to the ground. Although these will not be buried, they will be exposed to the ground, even though they'll be off the ground, if that makes sense. But you know, moisture will rise off the ground and everything. So this stuff here is just really good for protecting the wood for that. It's called asphalt emulsion. And this is they use this for roofs a lot, but you can use it for a lot of different things. Like I said, I use it a lot. And the next product I'm going to be using here is called it's called an elastomeric coating. It's rubberized roofing, and you can use this on metal, concrete, asphalt. It actually works real good on metal and concrete. You can also use it on poly tanks. I actually painted our poly tank with this stuff. That's a 3,000 gallon cistern, and it's been on there for over a year now. It sticks to it just fine. Only time will tell how long, but you know, so far so good, and it doesn't take that long to put it on. So this stuff's really good, and I will show you with a thermometer once we get closer here. When you put metal with this stuff and metal without it, the surface temperature of the metal, and it is just crazy the difference in temperature. So all right, so well on my way here as far as getting the frame started, and you can see here I got a couple pieces of angle iron 20 footers on the back of a small trailer. This is just to set up remotely. You can set up however you want, saw horses, whatever. But what I'm doing here is a little different, is I'm framing with screws instead of using like a nail gun, which I have a nail gun. I have all that set up to do it, but because I'm not using full-size 2x4s and I'm using these ripped 2x4s, these are a little more fragile. So I have to individually tap, drill the holes, pre-drill the holes for these screws, and then I do it that way. Only when I'm using a thinner frame like this, which, you know, like I don't think you really have to do it this way. You could do it just normal 2x4s. It's saving me a little bit of money. So and it's a smaller shed. So anyways, next thing I'm going to do, this is the door opening for the front here, and next thing I'm going to do is just put the girts here, purlins, whatever you want to call them, but just the slats, and that's what the metal will attach to. And then once those are on, I will then be able to move this thing around. I put these on the corners just to keep everything square while I'm doing it, and you don't have to use this at all. I just cut these to do it for this. And I also use these I use these for welding, but these 90-degree angle clamps here are really nice to have. You can get these at Harbor Freight, I think, for like $10. At least that's what they were when I got them. And it's really nice because it keeps everything nice and square here when I'm screwing these together. You know, and this area is like an 8 foot by 8 foot, so you know it'll work good for that. So yeah, so next thing I'll do is I'll put those slats in, and then I'll start on the next piece, which is the back side, and then I'll do the sides, and then we'll just see where the day takes me here. You know, I'm an adventurer. Okay, so I got the back side done and the front side. This is the front where the door will be, and it's 8 foot wide by 8 foot tall. And you can see the simplicity of this design. It's pretty easy to frame this. I use screws, and it's just a little tedious where you just got to go through and screw it all together. But other than that, it's pretty simple to do. And this is the back side here. And basically just pre-framing these sections. And then I will lift this off of this trailer, set it over there. Then I'll have the front and back. And then I just got to deal with the side and go from there. Alright folks, so here we're going to check in on my shed blocks. As you can see, they turned out well. Sorry about the angle of the camera here, but you can see here that's what that concrete vibrator does, it smooths out the sides. So ready to go. Alright folks, so this will be a good spot to leave off, and this will be a 3-part video, and I will talk about this next. This is right before I start putting the shed frame up, so we'll see you guys soon.